Happy Friday. Hello and welcome. Much love to everyone. I hope everybody's having such a good Friday, such a great Friday. Just the same as I hope my sound is working. So let's hammer that out real quick, like we do, and then we'll get into it. Okay, check, check. Mic test. Are you there? Does your sound work?
Okay,
Yep,
check.
it does. Awesome. So what's up, everyone? This is Jay Baldale, and welcome. Welcome to Class B, Friday class, Buddhism class, Dhammapada. You know the drill. Or maybe you don't, maybe you're new, and if you are new, then welcome. It's great to have you here. If you end up enjoying this content, then please be sure to hit a like, share, or subscribe. And I appreciate you all, even the returning class members. It's great to have you all along for the ride. All right, then. Get my last few things in place and then let's do it. All right. Music check. Chat check. We're good to go. Okay, everyone. So, we'll have a fun one today, getting more into these verses of the Dhammapada. Some good stuff so far to reflect on and think on and to apply towards our pursuit of Dharma, the true will. Are those things synonymous? Do you find those things to be synonymous? I would say yes, to a certain degree. I would say, but in the same way that there is the parts that are a clear overlap between these Eastern and Western teachings, but then there are the slight variations, the nuances. But for the most part, I would say yes. So, depending on what resonates more to you, whether it's the Western magical, whether it's the Eastern paths of Hinduism, Buddhism, whatever it might be, make sure to trust in yourself and your intuition. And Fatima Makta, what's up? Welcome in. I hope you're having a great day. And welcome in the rest of you just coming in. But let's see what the tarot's got to show us today, huh? Before we get into the class, the studies. Oh, tarot. Oh, we keep getting jumpers. That's okay. That's a pretty decent jumper to have. I think we've seen her at least once before. Eight of Discs. So Earth, Virgo, eight though on the tree of life hauled. And this one is the Sun in Virgo. So prudence is what this card is called. We see here this kind of what we're seeing right now in the world around us, at least in the northern hemisphere. We are seeing the return of life after the winter. The flowers, a lot of trees oftentimes first bud with flowers before the leaves come in. Not all of them, but a good amount of them. And so you might be seeing that now where you're at. Probably are, since most of us, I've seen that most of us who chill on this channel are in that zone of the world. And so prudent, kind of being patient, kind of being cautious, but m- more so out of wisdom. And so we see that a little bit with this hard element here, wisdom, the mind, maturity. That's what we've been talking about a bit too. This energy of the aeon, this growth of the child going from immaturity to maturity. And so with that solar influence, with that mercurial influence, And then that Virgin, Virgo, Malkuth, a little bit. A little bit. You got to remember that a lot of these things are more energetical than actual physical representations. But I would say in the way that that solar element of the holy guardian angel, the way we're having our patience, we're having our wisdom about it, we're having our maturity come through, which is also coming through the mind, the magician, Mercury. But we're bringing that down the planes into our material sphere. Okay, well, that's what I'm getting today. If nothing else, then it's just the energy of spring letting you know maybe it's time for some spring cleaning. Maybe maybe you've let the dusts of winter settle a bit much and it's time to get to that spring cleaning, whatever that might be for you. All right, everyone. Well, I'm looking forward to this. Today, we're going to start out with a fun section. And welcome into those of you who have just popped in. We're going to be talking about something that gets everybody excited, and that is evil. Evil and punishment. Oh, no. Don't punish us. Please, God, don't punish us for our wicked ways. Well, we're going to find out what the Buddha has to say about that. All right. So, chapters 9 and 10, evil and punishment. Wrong actions are central to the concept of papa. Papa. Papa, maybe. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on the pronunciation on this one. Which is sin or evil, which is the theme of chapter 9 and continues into chapter 10. In Buddhism, there is no one sitting in judgment to punish us for wrong actions, nor is there anyone to reward us for our good works. Instead, reward and punishment issue from the self fulfilling law of karma, which permeates every aspect of the Buddhist teachings. Actually, I need to get my highlighter because I was reading this ahead last night to try to get some highlighting done, but this one was one of those ones where, for whatever reason, I wasn't really highlighting. Probably because I just felt like, I don't know. Sometimes when I read things that I just feel like should be maybe like Captain, capital O, obvious, then it's like I might not highlight so much. But then there's other times where I think, like I say, I think about who might come in contact with this at another point in life. Which one of the family, the descendants, whoever might receive this book in the future and might find some of this highlighting very beneficial. Okay, so I highlighted, whatever the right word is on that one. I don't think I'm gonna look it up. I think I'm just gonna keep fumbling on it until somebody lets me know. In these other chapters we'll read today, but yeah, this one I didn't, but that's okay. These are pretty quick. So instead, reward and punishment issue from the self fulfilling law of karma, which permeates every aspect of the Buddhist teachings. Put simply, the law of karma states that as we sow, so we shall reap. Everything we do, say, or even think has consequences, good or bad, and sooner or later those consequences must come back to us. Karma was already an ancient idea in India when the Buddha taught, and it can safely be said that his audience took for granted that the law of cause and effect governs not only physical events, but every event in human experience. Okay, and Dion Fortune had said something interesting about karma too, in the way that she kind of said a similar thing, where she said it's not so much that there's some type of divine punishment or retribution waiting for you, where Satan, I mean, for some people that might be the way it goes down. You'll get cast into the lake of fire and you will burn. But for the most part, that's more interpreted as You're just going to keep repeating this same silly, immature, foolish nonsense until you finally just get sick of your own crap. And some people are a lot slower learners than others, we can say. And I want this one right here too. The law of cause and effect governs not only physical events, but every event in human experience. Okay. Like any physical law, the law of karma operates everywhere and at every moment. It is totally impersonal, requiring no agency other than ourselves. The Buddha taught that for an action to produce karma, it has to be accompanied by a conscious will, which presupposes the capacity of free choice. If a small child hits another child, there is probably no karmic residue because he is still innocent and does not fully acquiesce in the action as an adult would have to. He may be playing happily with the same child minutes later. But when an adult says angry words to someone, the will is an accomplice and the action will bear fruit. It is impossible to escape the karmic result of action no matter where we may try. The karma must return in kind, whether good or bad, even though it may take time for the right circumstances to come around. According to the Buddha, a large part of our experience is simply the mechanical return of the karma our previous actions have accumulated. Previous actions here, of course, extends to previous lives. These ideas, too, were an integral part of the Buddha's Hindu background, but no one else in Indian mysticism worked out their significance with greater breadth and precision. Dharma is a seamless web in which physical and mental events are inescapably intertwined, and even disasters or misfortunes may be a delayed karmic reaction to something we did in this life or in some previous life. One aspect of and that's like a lot of what Krishna is telling Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, where yep, this battle, yeah, man, this battle's gonna suck, but also this is your lot in life. This is what everything has led to. And so you would actually be denying your dharma to not go fight this battle. You would be sinning in that case. As much as, yep, you might not want to put arrows through the eyes of these people that you respect. You might not want to watch other people dying in horrible ways that happen in warfare. You would be sinning more greatly to try to avoid it, to try to tell everybody, hey, let's not do this when this this is what it's come to, baby. And that does suck. That ain't gonna be no fun. But to sin in such a way would probably be even less fun. One aspect of the law of karma receives special attention in this chapter. That is the concept of samskaras, or karma formed states. A samskara involves not just one action and its karmic return, but a mental inclination to act in a certain way. The reason the Buddha cautions us against repeating wrong actions and recommends repeating good actions is that such habits cut a track in consciousness upon which future actions in similar circumstances are likely to return. If we continue to commit a mistake, say an outburst of anger, each repetition makes it easier to make the same mistake again, so that gradually anger becomes part of our character. That is very close to what the Buddha means by a samskara, a habit of thinking which karmically locks us into patterns of behavior over which we have less control with every succeeding repetition. And didn't he already use the example of like a coffee samskara? So right, these samskaras might not. This example here is based off of an anger response, but we have all kinds of samskaras. We have all kinds of samskaras. Your inclination to say maybe every time you get home from work, right away you're like, I'm turning on the PlayStation, I'm turning on the Xbox. Again, that's not necessarily a bad samskara, but according to this, it would be a samskara, especially if it's like kind of a habitual thing, even almost a ritualized thing. In a samskara like anger, karma acts on the individual not just in his external environment, but also from within. An anger prone person may get anger returned to him from other individuals, but he may also suffer karmic harm within. Increased anxiety, risk of heart disease, or other behavior aggravated ailments, the turmoil of an unruly mind. Because it is easiest to follow the worn path of stimulus and response, harmful samskaras are easy to form and to get trapped in. Actively asserting the responses that do not come naturally, forgiveness, patience, compassion in the face of hatred, is the only way to avoid gradually succumbing to evil. That is, to avoid becoming internally laced with harmful samskaras. That's also sometimes where I'll get caught up in highlighting, like I said about Eliphas Levi too, where it's like, man, really, I kind of just want to highlight this whole thing, but then that kind of defeats the purpose. But I think all of that right there is pretty good. Oh, come on, Paige. In a very real way, we are what our samskaras are, as the network of choice pathways in us. They constitute the karmic legacy of all our previous choices. Evil in Buddhism thus becomes a question of rightly understanding how a person becomes prone to harmful action and what courses of action can set the situation right. The Buddha's emphasis is always on choice, and his prognosis is always hopeful. He shows us the power of evil habits, then reminds us that good habits are just as strong. If we do not try to shape our lives, the conditioning of our samskaras will shape them for us, little by little. But if we do try again, little by little, in the numberless decisions of everyday life, then any one of us can become good as a bucket is filled drop by drop. There you go. So, yep, even slow progress is progress. And you'll kind of, I'm sure at first, if you're really trying to correct a heavy samskara, a wicked samskara, or tendency, habit, that you'll kind of go back and forth. You'll have times where you'd make the right choice, but then other times where, like when the doctor strikes your knee to check your reflexes, that just pops out of you. It just pops right out of you. You almost have no control over it. But because you're now making the effort to correct it, it's almost going to hit in a worse way because you're going to be like, man, I shouldn't have done that. I know better. I know better. I once was lost, but now I'm found. And so allow yourself that grace. Okay. 9. Evil. Hasten to do good. Refrain from evil. If you neglect a good, evil can enter your mind. If you do what is evil, do not repeat it or take pleasure in making it a habit. An evil habit will cause nothing but suffering. If you do what is good, keep repeating it and take pleasure in making it a habit. A good habit will cause nothing but joy. Evildoers may be happy as long as they do not reap what they have sown, but when they do, sorrow overcomes them. The good may suffer as long as they do not reap what they have sown, but when they do, joy overcomes them. So think about that. Sometimes you'll see that in like a played out in a scenario of like someone who's always such a good person, but it seems like they can't catch a break. Girl crabs, is this good or harmful to watch? Well, that's going to depend all on you. Me personally, my opinion is it's good, but you'll have to stick around and find out for yourself. So anyway, like you'll see that sometimes in a person who's like, they're always good. They're always helping out people. They're always sacrificing or whatever. But also, it seems like for whatever reason, they can't catch a break until finally something like, I don't know, they catch like the ultimate break of a lifetime where it's like that momentum of all these other good things, all these seeds they planted, right? They finally get to reap what they have sown. And same with wicked people. Sometimes those wicked people who it's like, dude, this person sucks so bad. And they just keep doing more and more sucky things. And when is their negative karma? When is this going to come home to roost? But then finally, it might not be for years and years later. And then you see an old friend and they're like, hey, remember so and so? Did you hear what happened? And oh boy, did it come back around all right. So, but mostly the important thing is to focus on yourself. Worry about yourself. Don't be so worried and caught up in all this other stuff. And Tasia Michelle, what's up? Welcome in. I hope you're having a great day. But it can be hard. I know. Trust me. I know. I'm out here just the same as all of you, and so I get it. Sometimes it can be real frustrating. But yeah, at the end of the day, the best thing you can do is to just put the focus into yourself. Buddha says it. All the magic people say it. You know the drill. And even Tasia Michelle agrees. God itself says it, and God is good. Correct, Tasia Michelle. Thank you. So let no one think lightly of evil and say to himself, sorrow will not come to me. Little by little, a person becomes evil as a pot is filled by drops of water. Let no one think lightly of good and say to himself, joy will not come to me. Little by little, a person becomes good as a pot is filled by drops of water. As a rich merchant traveling alone avoids dangerous roads, as a lover of life avoids poison, let everyone avoid dangerous deeds. If you have no wound on your hand, you can touch poison without being harmed. No harm comes to those who do no harm. If you harm a pure and innocent person, you harm yourself, as dust thrown against the wind comes back to the thrower. Some are born again. Those caught in evil ways go to a state of intense suffering. Those who have done good go to a state of joy. But the pure in heart enter nirvana. Not in the sky, not in the ocean, not in mountain canyons is there a place anywhere in the world where a person can hide from his evil deeds. No, not even in a, oh, I know it. Trust me, I know. Some of these people want to try to upload themselves into the computer or whatever, into the cloud. You really think you're going to be able to hide in there? Not in the sky, not in the ocean, not in mountain canyons is there a place where one can hide from death. Oh, yeah, that's what they think too. They think they're going to make themselves immortal. Well, okay. 10. Punishment. Everyone fears punishment. Everyone fears death, just as you do. Therefore, do not kill or cause to kill. Everyone fears punishment. Everyone loves life as you do. Therefore, do not kill or cause to kill. If hoping to be happy you strike at others who also seek happiness, you will be happy neither here nor hereafter. If hoping to be happy you do not strike at others who are also seeking happiness, you will be happy here and hereafter. Speak quietly to everyone, and they too will be gentle in their speech. Harsh words hurt, and come back to the speaker. If your mind is still like a broken gong, you have entered nirvana, leaving all quarrels behind you. And thank you, Tasia Michelle. I'm glad you think so. As a cowherd with his staff drives cows to fresh fields, old age and death lead all creatures to new lives. The selfish, doing harm, do not know what is in store for them. They are burned as if by fire by the results of their own deeds. That's why I get so, that's part of why I get so frustrated sometimes my own personal self when I'm getting a little too caught up in some of these people out here on the grift where it's like, dude, you should know better. Straight up, you should know better. If one harms the innocent, suffering will come in these 10 ways. They may suffer grief, infirmity, painful accidents, serious illness, loss of mind, legal prosecution, fearful accusation, family bereavement, or financial loss. Or their house may burn down, and after death, they may be thrown into the fire of suffering. Going about with matted hair, without food or bath, sleeping on the ground smeared with dust, or sitting motionless, no amount of penance can help a person whose mind is not purified. But those whose mind is serene and chaste, whose senses are controlled, and whose life is nonviolent, these are true Brahmins, true monks, even if they wear fine clothes. As a well trained horse needs no whip, a well trained mind needs no prodding from the world to be good. Be like a well trained horse, swift and spirited, and go beyond sorrow through faith, meditation, and energetic practice of the Dharma. As irrigators guide water to their fields, as archers aim arrows, as carpenters carve wood, the wise shape their lives. That particular verse has popped up a few times now. So it must be one of the most important ones as far as this author's concerned. The wise shape their lives. That kind of is like that quote from Carl Jung, right? Until you make the unconscious conscious, it'll rule your life. All right, then. Chapter 11, Age. Jara, old age, is a Sanskrit word originally applied to a worn out, dilapidated building. The second noble sight that led Prince Siddhartha to renounce worldly life and seek nirvana was of an ancient, disfigured man barely able to walk. The sight plunged him deep into consciousness to confront the decay for which every body is destined. Few people look forward to the onset of wrinkles and stiff joints, but only a spiritual genius confronts the full meaning of old age all at once. Seeing age is a process that begins the moment we are conceived. This chapter begins on a sober note, with a plea that all take note of the fire of advancing age rather than lightly making merry. Many of the verses in this chapter are meant to instill a fear that old age will overtake us before we have realized our real purpose, making life a tragic waste. Yet it would be a mistake to conclude that the Buddha's message was life denying or conclude from verses 147 and 148 that he viewed the human body with distaste. He has the greatest respect for the human body, and in fact maintained that human birth is the highest of blessings, because it is only as a human being that we can strive for and attain nirvana. These verses are simply meant to communicate what little value he sees in a purely physical existence, spending our time on pleasing the body and senses instead of using each day of an all too short life to take another step toward the goal. The view of the Buddha on this subject is glimpsed in verses 153 and 154, perhaps better than anywhere else in Buddhist literature. These are the celebrated house builder verses, said to have been uttered by the Buddha immediately after his enlightenment under the Bodhi tree. The paean of joy that issues from his lips when he realizes that life's goal is one. After wandering in samsara life after life, he has finally come face to face with selfish craving, the architect of separate existence, and put an end to it once and for all. In Hindu and Buddhist psychology, craving is a force which keeps seeking physical embodiment, another birth, for the satisfaction of physical desires. Yet the body cannot help aging, becoming less and less able to deliver satisfaction. And the less it can please, the more insistent craving becomes. The Sanskrit poet Bhartrhari captures this process in his Century of Verses on Renunciation. My face is overrun with wrinkles. My head is marked with gray. My limbs have gone flaccid. Craving alone keeps its youth and vigor. From the Vairagya Shataka, verse 156. Each life not spent in reducing selfish craving, therefore, impels a person into the next life with cravings that are fiercer than ever. It is in this sense that selfish craving is the architect of body and personality, and that its extinction brings freedom from all selfish conditioning. The Buddha expresses enlightenment not as a meeting with God or an immersion in bliss, but as the disassembling of the conditioned personality and the exhilaration that comes with perfect freedom. Through his own effort, he has undone the force that has conditioned his entire making. From the smallest unicellular organism at the dawn of evolution to the wonder of the individual that was Prince Siddhartha, bursting through the unconditioned, he has destroyed craving. Never again can he be compelled by karma to return to life as a separate creature. And One True Goddess, what's up? Great to see you. She says, RIP, late to the party. I didn't get the notification. Dang, I hate it when that happens. Don't worry. You haven't missed way too much. Just the first, just chapters 9 and 10, but these ones are quickies. So we're going into 11 now. Not too bad. Plus, I know a tremendous student such as yourself is gonna probably hit a replay anyway, so no reason to worry. All right, 11. Age. Why is there laughter? Why merriment when this world is on fire? When you are living in darkness, why don't you look for light? This body is a painted image, subject to disease, decay, and death, held together by thoughts that come and go. What joy can there be for those who see that their white bones will be cast away like gourds in the autumn? Around the bones is built a house, plastered with flesh, in which dwell pride and pretense, old age and death. Even the chariot of a king loses its glitter in the course of time, so too the body loses its health and strength. But goodness does not grow old with the passage of time. A man who does not learn from life grows old like an ox. His body grows, but not his wisdom. I have gone through many rounds of birth and death, looking in vain for the builder of this body. Heavy indeed is birth and death again and again. But now I have seen you, house builder. You shall not build this house again. Its beams are broken, its dome is shattered, self will is extinguished, nirvana is attained. And again, just like yesterday, this verse here, 154, has another interesting tarot connection. But now I have seen you, house builder. You shall not build this house again. Its beams are broken, its dome is shattered, self will is extinguished, nirvana is attained. Those who have not practiced spiritual disciplines in their youth pine away like old cranes in a lake without fish. Like worn out bows, they lie in old age, sighing over the past. Okay, chapter 12 Self. Atman, or self, the subject of this chapter, has stirred more controversy than any other subject in the Buddha's teachings. Several times throughout the Pali Canon, the Buddha says that the human being is anatman, without a self, thus apparently contradicting a principle that is the very basis of the Hindu faith, that at the core of every creature is a divine self, capital S on there, Atman, which is not different from the transcendent reality, Brahman, and is therefore utterly beyond the world of change and death. Discussing how a transcendent self can relate to an impermanent possibility, or excuse me, an impermanent personality, naturally plunged Indian philosophers into deep metaphysical waters. But the Buddha never indulged in metaphysics. His concern was relentlessly practical. Life is full of suffering. The cause of that suffering is selfishness, and selfishness can be removed by practicing the Eightfold Path. Anything else is a distraction. On what lay beyond the impermanent world of ego and change, his attitude was simply first go there, then you will see for yourself. On one occasion, a monk asked the Buddha if belief in a permanent self can prove harmful. The Buddha replied that it can. Suppose, he explained, that a man has the following view: the universe is that self, and I shall be that after death, permanent, abiding, everlasting, unchanging. I shall exist as that for eternity. Then he hears the Tathagata, the Buddha, or a discipline preaching that Dharma, which aims at the destruction of all views, at the extinction of craving, at detachment, at stopping, at nirvana. Then that man thinks, I will be annihilated, destroyed, and be no more. So he mourns, laments, and weeps, beating his breasts and becomes confused. Thus, O monk, there is a possibility that one will become tormented when something permanent within oneself is not found. Scholars and Orthodox Buddhists alike have cited such instances as proof that the Buddha denied the existence of a permanent self, beyond all change and unaffected by death. Others cite more affirmative statements to assert that the Buddha did believe in a self. In this chapter of the Dhammapada, for example, he exhorts us to rely solely on ourself and seek no other support. Part of the ambiguity lies in the language. Depending on the context, the Sanskrit word Atman can mean self in the conventional sense of myself and yourself, or it can refer to the transcendent self of the Upanishads. Hundreds of books have debated which the Buddha was denying, lowercase s self or capital S self, so that many maintain his stand on self to be the most distinctive mark of his teaching. It is, however, hard to imagine that the Buddha himself was interested in this controversy. His concern was in putting an end to self, that is, an end to ego. Nagarjuna, the brilliant Buddhist dialectician of the second century, claimed that self was used by the Buddha only as a teaching device and that he actually took no stand whatever on it. There is the teaching of self, and there is the teaching of not self. But by the Buddha, neither self nor not self has been taught as something that exists. He did not raise the question at all. It had no bearing on the actual practice of the Eightfold Path. When the wanderer Vachagota came asking about the existence of the self, for example, the Buddha would not even give him an answer. This occasion, called the Buddha's Noble Silence, contains his real answer to all metaphysical speculation. Though probably the most brilliant intellect of his time, the Buddha maintained no intellectual positions whatever. That sounds like Sri Ramana too, where they say he mostly taught through silence. I mean, he would say things, he would give teachings, but a lot of times people would come and ask him some kind of question, and he would maybe not answer it for days. He would just sit there in silence, and then eventually he would maybe say something that kind of gives the answer to it. They would be counter to his only purpose, which was to inspire greater effort in spiritual practice. How can intellectual opinions about the unity of life help a person as long as he believes he is a separate ego? What difference does his opinion about eternity make as long as he is still caught up in time? By offering no metaphysical supports, the Buddha prompts us to plunge deep in meditation and see for ourselves what we discover. In this chapter, his emphasis is on putting forth utmost effort to develop self reliance. In one of the most celebrated statements on this theme, he addresses these words to his disciple Ananda. Therefore, Ananda, live having self for an island, self for refuge, and no other. Having Dharma for an island, Dharma for refuge, and no other. The self he speaks of in this passage and throughout this chapter is the human will, the only self worthy of strengthening and cultivation. Well, shoot, that's what magic teaches too. And Protea, seer of eons, yo, man, great to see you. Thank you for that. He says, hey, Jay, have a great stream, bro. Thanks. You're very welcome, and thank you. Appreciate you much. Okay, so 12, self. If you hold yourself dear, guard yourself diligently. Keep vigil during one of the three watches of the night. Learn what is right, then teach others as the wise do. Before trying to guide others, be your own guide first. It is hard to learn to guide oneself. Your own self is your master. Who else could be? With yourself well controlled, you gain a master very hard to find. The evil done by the selfish crushes them as a diamond breaks a hard gem. As a vine overpowers a tree, evil overpowers those who do evil, trapping them in a situation that only their enemies would wish them to be in. Evil deeds which harm the doer are easy to do. Good deeds are not so easy. And Protea Seer of Eon says, I rely on self heavily. Took years to develop. Definitely so. That's awesome. That's great that you have come to that place of maturity because it does. Oh, I know, man. I know firsthand too. It does take a while. And even then, it comes in, let's see, how do I want to say it? It comes in, I guess it comes in levels would kind of be a good way to put it. You build it up more and more. And I've been on for about 40 minutes now. Oh, that's Chicano. My bad. Chicano, what up? Great to see you. Yeah, I've been on for about 40 minutes. And so I think I'm going to do one more after I finish this one, and then I'm probably going to call it for the day. Foolish people who scoff at the teachings of the wise, the noble, and the good, following false doctrines, bring about their own downfall like the Kataka tree, which dies after bearing fruit. By oneself is evil done, by oneself one is injured. Do not do evil, and suffering will not come. Everyone has the choice to be pure or impure. No one can purify another. Don't neglect your own duty for another, however great. Know your own duty and perform it. All right. Chapter 13, The World. The subject of this chapter is Loka, the world, that environment into which we have been born. The Buddha compares this world to a royal chariot decked out in gaudy colors, all paint and show, which the wise know to be no more permanent than a bubble or a mirage. Unattached to its pleasures, they are detached too from its suffering. Thus they rise above its law of physical decay and death. The Buddha speaks of states of consciousness as different worlds, all as real as everyday life to those having direct experience of them. Some of these are alluded to in this chapter: this world, the next world, the realm of the gods. But his primary distinction is between two essentially different levels of reality: Samvritti Satya, conventional reality, or the world of day to day life, and Paramartha Satya, absolute reality. The Samvritti world has only a provisional reality because it is not the same from instant to instant. All of these experiences one has exist for a moment only, then vanish into nothingness. But beneath this conventional level is a permanent ground of being, Paramartha, which is completely unaffected by change. Samvriti is still real, but it has a lesser degree of reality, just as a dream experience belongs to a lower level of reality than the waking state. In the everyday world, of course, the vast majority of us are unaware of a higher reality. Those few who have glimpsed it are compared by the Buddha to the fortunate birds who escaped the hunter's net. The great ideal of Mahayana Buddhism is to remain in this world, so tempting and full of snares, but at the same time attain this awareness of the absolute which underlies it, thus remaining free while helping others to free themselves. Nagarjuna captures the essence of this state when he proclaims, "There is no difference at all between samsara and nirvana. There is no difference at all between samsara and nirvana." And Zero, what's up? Great to see you. Much love and blessings to you as well. All right, 13, The World. Don't follow wrong laws. Don't be thoughtless. Don't believe false doctrines. Don't follow the way of the world. Wake up. Don't be lazy. Follow the right path. Avoid the wrong. You will be happy here as well as hereafter. Look on the world as a bubble. Look on it as a mirage. Then the king of death cannot even see you. Come, look at this world. Is it not like a painted royal chariot? The wise see through it, but not the immature. When that's interesting, he puts it that way, but then in the Jewish mythology, your body of light is considered the chariot, the Merkabah, which means chariot. And Proteus, seer of Eon, says, "Is it possible that the dream world is the underworld?" To my understanding, that's going to all depend on your karma. So it's like, and well, so if we look at it in the Buddhist lens, then that's the case. And then if we look at it in the more lens like of going up the planes, I think, depending on who you ask, and I would say that the more reliable sources, like such as Dion Fortune, talk about how depending on your methods of attainment and your the person who's teaching you and all that, that it is very possible to contact that dream world or kind of like that astral world in that more underworld type of way as opposed to that more celestial type of way. Does that answer your question? All right. So yeah, and that's also part of the point of magic is you're strengthening that light body, that infinite chariot, you could say, or I don't know about. Well, yeah, I guess that's a good way to say it. That eternal chariot, so that then you can continue the work in a more directed way, as opposed to like just getting flung willy-nilly by the pinball machine of the universe. All right then. When those who are foolish become wise, they give light to the world like the full moon breaking through the clouds. When their good deeds overcome the bad, they give light to the world like the moon breaking free from behind the clouds. In this dark world, few can see. Like birds that free themselves from the net, only a few find their way to heaven. Swans fly on the path of the sun by their wonderful power. The wise rise above the world after conquering Mara and his train. He who transgresses the central law of life, who speaks falsely or scoffs at the life to come as capable of any evil. Misers do not go to the world of the gods. They do not want to give. The wise are generous and go to a happier world. Better than ruling this world, better than attaining the realm of the gods, better than being lord of all the worlds, is one step taken on the path to nirvana. And Zero, yep, the rainbow body. And Proteus Zero, but Eon says, yeah, I think I'm trying to make sense of spiritual things in the English language, which of course is borderline insanity. These are the tools we have though. Yeah, definitely. Yep, that's the real struggle out here for sure, is that at times it can be a real razor's edge, or definitely a real fine line of the path of attainment versus the path of madness, we could say. So it seems like you're doing a pretty good job though, so keep it up. But I get it. Oh, trust me, I do get it. It's, oh buddy, it's not easy, that's for sure. All right, and I think I'm gonna stop it there. We'll call today just a little bit of a quicker one than usual. A little under an hour. Even though the awakened one, that's the next chapter 14. That's probably gonna be a pretty good one. But that's a good place to start up tomorrow. And then yeah, we can knock out probably at least another 30 chapters tomorrow, because yeah, we fly through this one similar to the Hermetica. Once you get into the book proper, you get flying. All right, everyone. Well, yep, I'm gonna end it there today. Might as well treat everyone to a little bit shorter one. So I hope you're finding this to be helpful. It seems like some of you are, so that is wonderful. That truly is wonderful. And tomorrow we'll pick it back up, and then you know the drill. And then after that, back to magic. So far, I'm liking the way these classes are pairing up with one another. A lot of fun. So I appreciate you all very much. Chicano, Zero, Proteus, One True Goddess, and then let's see, Tasia. Oh yeah, welcome in, Tasia Michelle. Hopefully you found this to be good to watch. Oh wait, no, that was Girl Crabs. So hopefully you found it good to watch, and also Tasia, all of you, welcome. I appreciate you, and I'll see you tomorrow. This has been Jay Baldea. This has been the Dhammapada, the Buddhist teachings that help us to cultivate that Dharma. Much love, many blessings, and bye bye. Oh, let's see. And Zero says, I tell to Jay Baldell that the first thing I step on my path was yoga and Buddhism. I really love Buddhist teachings, but back then I didn't understand. Yeah, I feel you on that, Zero. I feel you. That same here. I mean, it's like I did, but now it's a whole new level. So I'm grateful that it's the same for you. And you're a wonderful friend to have. All of you are wonderful presences in this community. All right then. So now, bye bye. Much love, you guys. Catch you later.